G'day everyone, Jason here. If this is the first time you're watching my videos, my artist name is Kersy, and this is part 7 of a series of videos I'm doing on how I create and produce songs from scratch. In my previous videos, I covered how I came up with some chords on the guitar, laid that down with some piano, added some drums, and then additional keyboard layers. And today I'm going to cover one of the most fun parts of songwriting and producing for me, and that is the bass. This is a relatively new channel that I set up on YouTube, but I'm not new to music. I started playing classical guitar when I was about 7 years old, and then I went on to writing, performing, teaching, and sharing, collaborating with many other musicians. And so it's obviously a journey for everyone involved in music, and I want to share the journey that I've had and some of the things that I've learned along the way. So if you like this video, please do me a favor and hit all the right buttons on YouTube. For me, there's something important about a bass line, and it's not just about providing the foundation for the song or maybe to complement the drums. It really is important to have its own character to inject into the song and create more variation. I'm definitely biased towards using an electric bass for my music rather than a synth bass, because being a guitarist, there's a lot more I can explore on a bass guitar than I could probably explore on the synth. There are times when a synth bass can sound really good with certain genres of music, and so in that case I'll write the part on the bass guitar first and then transpose it to the synth. Another reason I'm very excited to be working on the bass part today is because I get to use this new bass guitar that I recently invested in. This is the Sire Marcus Miller V7 in white blonde. It's a beautiful guitar, it sounds fantastic. Can't wait to put this to use. I actually did an unboxing video on my channel recently, so go and check that out. For some songs, I write the bass guitar earlier in the songwriting process to set the mood and the groove. But for this song, I'm writing it after I've laid down the other instruments, and so it's going to be a little bit different process to complement what's already there in the song. One technique that I like to use when I'm writing a bass guitar part is called the call and response method. If you're familiar with blues or jazz, you've probably heard of this before. It's where one instrument will play one phrase and then the other instrument will play a complementary phrase. And it's almost like the two instruments are having a conversation between them, a call and a response. This song is particularly well suited for this call and response method because I have guitar chord stabs on the second and the third beat of each bar, leaving space on the first and the fourth beat for the bass to come in. Something like that. Like that. Something simple, but we're going to vary it a little bit. Yeah, that works. Something like that. I'll play around with that for a little bit and record that and see how it sounds. Moving on to the pre-chorus, the guitar switches to a melodic arpeggio, so I think something that complements that arpeggio will work quite nicely. Okay, so maybe I need to practice that a little bit, get it nice and tight, and then record that as well. Now let's look at the first part of the chorus. This is where I want to create more movement in the bass line, so the chorus has more emphasis. And to do that, I'm going to rely on something more punchy on the call and response with the guitar that's also a little bit more melodic. The other thing is, at some point in the song, I'm going to want to drop out a lot of the other instruments to just lead the bass guitar line with the drums. And so if I have something melodic to work with, if I remove everything else, the bass line should be able to stand by itself. Something like that. So I'll practice that a few times and record it and put it all together. Here is the full view of the song so far with the drums, piano, guitar and the keyboards. Now let's look at the bass guitar that I just recorded. I recorded it in sections. We have the verse. And for the pre-chorus, I'll play the second part so you can hear the lead into the chorus. And here is the first part of the chorus. And for the second part of the chorus, I actually created another pattern which is a simple variation of the verse, and it goes like this. So that's the main structure I need for the bass guitar. With those sections now recorded, I can copy them into the other verses and choruses of the song, as you can see here. You'll notice that I have no bass and very limited instrumentation during the bridge so that the guitar can come through more in the mix. I also want to keep this space in the bridge so that the vocals can be more prominent and create a change of pace for the song as I'm heading into the final chorus. And then finally, as I mentioned earlier, I want to have a section of the song towards the end here where the bass can cut through the mix more, and this is a great spot to do it when you're coming out of the bridge into the first part of the last chorus. So let's listen to how that sounds coming into the final chorus. See how that bass is sitting quite prominent in the mix there. So that's what I want to do. Finally, let's look at the effects chain that I'm using for the bass. I'm using a generic compressor to cut down the dynamic range of the bass because it's quite aggressive with the Marcus Miller active pickups, and I've set the compression ratio to 3:1. So let's listen to it with and without the compression. And the other thing I did was add some EQ. I just boosted the 70 Hz range by about 3 dB, and I scooped the mid-range at around 1 kHz. And I could have done this on the bass during recording, but I'd rather keep it flat during the recording session and then play around with the EQ later to dial it in exactly where I want it. The difference that the EQ provides is quite subtle, but let's listen to it along with the compressor. So there we have it. Now that a lot of the instrumental is complete and I'm getting ready to start working the vocals, I need to improve the drums and the percussion. Everything about music is iterative, so it's time to iterate on those drums. See you next time.